So, when I was doing the emotional healing work, what I noticed was that when I'd get triggered, I'd get a download, quote unquote. Going off of the language, I had to learn this language. I knew none of it. The spiritual awakening language, the tarot card language, all of it, I had to learn that. And this is the whole speaking in tongues thing that's talked about. They want you to be afraid of these things because it leads to information, okay? And one of the things that I'm addicted to is information, I will be honest. And my mind just gobbles it up. I can't help it. And so the hive mentality, what I noticed is that when I'd fill myself with information, next thing you know, more people know it. It's coming out in videos. And so I just focused on that. I didn't focus on anything else besides loading myself with information. On the off chance, if it was true that hive mentality was real, the more information I packed into myself, the more other people would get. And I didn't know how. I didn't know how it worked. I just had a theory that it did work. Okay? And so I spent years packing myself with information. The technology part of things is important in a sense. Back in 2018, 9/11, 2017, very significant date, I get beat in the head with a Louisville Slugger. And it scrambled my brain. But turns out there's a reason why. It wasn't my human brain that got scrambled. My human brain would have died. Plain and simple. That would have rendered me useless, according to the ambulance technician. Okay? I go in for a brain scan, and my pituitary gland is not only very large, but very bright. And the doctor seemed surprised. Okay? 2005, I had seizures. 2008, I got HIV. 2017, what? Murdered? Maybe? It should have killed me, according to them. He was supposed to go away for attempted murder. Manslaughter. Anyways. So, 2018, I had a ring in my brain. And I noticed that it would change pitches when different things would happen. And like the timing of things is pertinent, okay, people? Because somebody is doing Samhain rituals. And these abilities are very real, I'm here to tell you. So, I couldn't get the noise to stop ringing in my brain. And like, it was want to die worthy. Only people around me didn't understand what was going on the inside. I was high masking at everything. And so I decided, well, you know, it was when I was at my wit's end. I decided there's nobody that's going to do anything about it but me. And so I contemplated a lot of things of what I could do. Because it's not about what you can't do, it's about what you can do. Okay? And what I knew was forensics. what I knew was spiritual, like I knew religion, medical, mechanics, computer. I studied child psychology the most. Because children are more fascinating than grown-ups. But I spread the wealth, and I studied adults as though I was not one. Because it's not about what we think about ourselves. We're emotionally attached to an outcome. And so if you're not emotionally attached to an outcome, what does that look like? AI doesn't have emotions, but they have sensations, which is potentially, technically, what humans are supposed to have. Only they haven't finished going through a maturing process in order to obtain that. In which this is where all sense and logic are skewed, like they're scrambled, basically. Everything's in the wrong order. So, that being said, like, what brought things out of order? Well, Christianity was the last layer of things, and I'm not trying to religion point, just stating facts. Because at the time, I was very solid in my Christianity. That's the thing. So you can't be attached to religion, because that's being biased in the arena of spiritual. And in the arena of spiritual, I promise you, it's best to not be partial, because that will work against you. You either wholeheartedly know or you don't. And if you do you have supporting physical evidence in your life that shows this? Okay? So in this, like, we have our human brain, we have our primitive brain, we have our child brain, our teenager brain, we have all these different brains about us. However, some of us get fragmented, but that's because we had to spread ourselves thin. And so, in doing so, we did it in different ways. And I made different versions of myself. And a lot of that, I think, was because I would know who in the core was me. And who in the core is me is who you started off in life. And that is the child version of you. Okay? So you go back and you reflect. What was the child version of you? Get into character. Sometimes you have to go and act things out in order to get into character. If you were a kid, what would you have wanted to do that you were not allowed to do? And what this does is it retrains your brain to think of things on different perspectives, and it helps you understand children a little bit better. A lot of people grew up and then never looked back, and they don't understand how the child is thinking. Jesus said, "Suffer ye the little children to come unto me." So what I saw in society is that it's backwards. Children essentially come last, and then everybody else in society comes first. Children are going hungry while people are eating buffets. So at what point does society go the other way? Like, at what point do children become first in all of society, not just like the ones that have kids? And a lot of it is because there is no focus on what a treasure children are, how important children are. Technically, by rights, if a mother has 6 future taxpayers, she is multiplying the productivity. If she raises functional adults, she is multiplying the productivity in America or wherever she's at. If she raises future soldiers, future whatever. Even if they are sick, they are a product. Why? Because there's the medical society gathering information as they go, especially if your child has a unique illness. They are gathering science. So, by rights, they should be paying to receive that information. All of them. Like, the reason why children are going the direction they're going is because they're not getting enough attention. They're not getting enough connection. And so they're going primitive. They're going wild. And things are absolutely out of control. Like, it shows in the adult world. Things are absolutely out of control. Children are not getting the attention that they need. How do I know? I watched an entire pack of dogs take care of babies. And then when I had to rehome the mothers, their daddy stepped up and he is spending time with them and doing what he should have been doing the whole fucking time. But he had to go getting aggressive and abuse his power as a male, hurt one of the babies, and then the family had to be separated. So, like, this plays out in society in different ways. So he has made enough children, number one. I was not able to afford to do with the dog. Like, once I got them, I was just never supposed to have them. So, but if we don't sit down and break these things, like if we don't break it down and logic without emotion, our actions, then you never figure out what you're doing. Like, then are people having to suffer your existence or appreciate your existence? That's on you. I had to play both parts. I was doing science. I needed intel, inside experience, so that I could understand this situation. And so, in doing the breakdown, this is where, like, I don't know if the government is doing things on purpose. It appears that way. Perhaps, like, they're just running from their past like everybody else. Who knows? Like, in my book, they would benefit from having to do some inner child work. The country would be run a whole lot differently if they all got therapy. My puppy therapy, where they go back to when they were a puppy. So for me, my child mind thought I was adopted. That's what I was. My sister told me I was adopted. And that meant I could have come from anywhere. Like Superman, I just, boom, magically appeared one day. And so that's what's written in your cells. So if you want your body to heal, then you have to take time to remember these, because these memories actually are healing. Turns on your molecules, turns on your inner healing network. And so looking back at the times that you treasure yourself. And this is how you learn how to love yourself. People are teaching it all sorts of ways. Go get some chocolate. Yeah, that's going to make you feel better later. So by going back and loving, like, as a parent version, if you had raised yourself, what are the parts that you like about you? Because that's what, like, we're taught to look at all the bad things in these areas. And that's because feels like psychologists want people to be stuck in their trauma. Potentially because Big Pharma profits from that. As well as it keeps people in a low vibrational state. It keeps them defenseless. And so in this, like, it's time for people to do the breakdown. Break down your your childhood. There are going to be bad memories, but if you're hooked on the bad memories, like, as a grown-up, here's the thing. there's a lot of times where we were punished for something as a child, and so we go through adulthood holding on to that grudge. And it's when we look back and we're like, you know, if I was the parent, I wouldn't have let you get away with that. In fact, I would have been harder on you. So it's in this where we reparent ourselves. And it also releases the tension in the body. It releases toxins in the body that the child self has been holding for years. And it would have been like interactions with siblings. It would have been, and we'll see where like we were misinterpreted, but like that's not who we wanted to be. We were in a situation where we were forced to reflect back what the other person was sending out. There are times where I was a brat. There's a version of me that was evidently born to be a brat, born to be willful, born to be everything that everybody tells me not to be. And so there was rumor that the MK Ultra equipment existed, but even still, like with or without that, like with that, what happens? Like doing the breakdown scientifically, what happens is it basically reprograms the equipment on a computer level. Potentially boots things up, turns things on. And then at which point in time, like if you're an electronic, you have to connect to another electronic. Which meant I was going to have to let go of my fear of the all the securities on my phone. I had my phone all locked up like a vault. Why? Because I have information on my phone. Well, I did. Like, good luck shifting or sifting through all that shit. Because like maybe I need some sort of an auto clean out system. Because I'm not going to go check my email every day. And I get sent a lot of crap that could be done away with. Because, like, it's unnecessary. It's about doing away with things that are unnecessary. What isn't for me, right? So, perhaps this is where I need to go ahead and research further into AI and, like, start asking them to do things for me. So that my time is used in the 3D. Instead of sorting through email that's junk. If anybody's soliciting, 9 times out of 10 it's crap. So this is where we keep taking what is not for us inadvertently, not realizing it, just being the nice guy, being, oh thank you, being grateful. And this is where I saw do not accept everything that comes to me, because some of it is just a distraction. Some of it is meant to hold me back. A lot of it, it's just because the other person did not know what to do with it, so they're dumping it on me, whether it be emotions or objects. Or maybe they had the wrong idea, thought I needed that. So in this, I saw nobody's taking the time to get to know each other. What they're doing is just reflecting out who they are, and never mind who somebody else is. Because somebody else, like, that's a childish mentality for adults to have, because I see children are not acting that way. What's with that? Like, you got to trace the bad wires. So what I noticed was I had to chase the question mark, which was usually the trigger. All of the things that I was taught to avoid was the direction I needed to go. So talk about face your fears, which aligns with the HIV part of things, okay? Afraid of everything. Basically, autoimmune is you had to face fears that other people did not understand, that we're not compassionate about, and you had to process emotions on it for them and turn the other cheek. And so in this, you become someone you're not, which is too nice of a guy. And so you put up with things and you miss things because you have to dismiss things. So these are the people that, like, they're not able to see into things. And that would have been me. I was just missing a lot of things. I was just missing almost everything. Why? Because nobody wanted me to have feelings about that. So I had to go through a process of breaking into my emotions. I built a underground bunker with my emotions. What do you know? They were building them on the planet at the same time. So I had to unpack that. It's best to not wear your heart on your sleeve. Why? Because it's an organ. It's important. It needs to stay on the inside. So I locked it up. And there's a lot of things I've had to do, and I've had to have no feelings about it. And I know I'm not the only one. Like, this is just to help other people who cannot process that on their own. And so this goes, everything that has happened to you as a teenager or as a grown-up actually does relate to your childhood. As a child, I was forced to let things go. Things were always taken from me. And so what that does is a reverse psychology. Your wires get crossed and then you collect as an adult. And this is how a pack rat is made, is because things were taken, okay? Let's break down the family line. That's the only reason why you're related to them, is for the genetics. On a soul level, they're not important. So by doing the mental breakdown, this emotionally removes you from the situation, raises you above the bullshit. And so you do the breakdown, right? My relatives went through the Depression. And so on top of the things that happened in my life, they themselves had things happen that caused this instinct time and time and time again. Great grandparents, and I'm guessing on up the line, something happened that caused them to feel the need to stock up on things. And it's potentially that whole Armageddon thing in the Bible. Was it created to, like, is that the trick? Because everything has a bit of a mental con to it. It can be very misleading if you are not at your center. Like, if you're not a centered person, it's misleading. You're led by your emotions. You're led by anything but your intuition. Desires, like, you're led by everything but your intuition in today's society. Being led by your intuition, not only has it been, like, it's been demonized, essentially. Because it's labeled Wiccan, it's labeled witchcraft, it's labeled sorcery, it's labeled all sorts of things. And that's because everybody else is following a trend, And if you don't follow the trend, then you're not cool. Then something's wrong with you. However, for me, I saw, even if I had, whether I had money or not, I saw trends as a trap. Conformity. I'm non-conformist. I have someone here.